Welcome to this episode of the Customer-Centric Retailing Podcast. This is Anil Patel, founder and CEO of Orthotics Commerce. In this podcast, we discuss e-commerce, omnichannel technology, pre-order management, brick-and-mortar operations, retail culture, innovation, and how all these elements come together to create customer-centric retailing. Join us to hear the brightest minds in the retail industry share their experiences and thoughts on the most relevant topics today. Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Customer-Centric Retailing Podcast. Today, we have with us a special guest, John Prothro. He is the President and CEO of Foot Solutions. Welcome, John. How are you today?
I'm doing great. It's Thursday, beautiful day here in the Atlanta area.
Awesome. Great. I'm really excited. I've been talking to a lot of people in the retail space, and generally what I see is that people start from somewhere in the store operations or e-com technology or somewhere in there, but generally they start from retail space and then grow into that career path, and someday they reach certain level of hierarchy in the organization. What I see in your case, it's interesting that you come from investment and all that financial background, acquisitions and merger and all that. And then now you have acquired this company and you are leading this retail business. I'm really curious to know what you were doing there in mergers and acquisition that got you interested in this retail business, and how that whole transition went and how you are doing today on it.
Well, if we figure it out or you figure it out, let me know, because I'm not so sure myself. A lot of my quote unquote career moves have been opportunistic and blessings more than anything. So we bought Foot Solutions. Myself and a few investors who were also friends bought the business 4 years ago. And at that time, I was trying to raise a small private equity fund from the same group of investors. We were going to put together a small portfolio of businesses. And I met the owner of Foot Solutions through another friend, and he said he wanted to sell, and he gave me a bit about it. At first I said no, and I didn't want to do it. And then I slept on it, and I thought, I'm going to look at the unit economics, and then I'm going to go and secret shop it a little bit before I say no, because at that time it was a pretty small business, relatively speaking. And after I did, I sort of fell in love with the concept, thought this is a real good niche market that no one is really doing well and tackling well. So I called the same investors and said, hey, I'd really like to do this one, and let's just do it and put all our money behind it and see where we can take it. So it's the best way to become CEO is just to install yourself, right?
But, you know how to manage money. You know how to make money using money. So I think that's where the whole magic is. At the end of the day, we've seen a lot of retail or a lot of businesses that start with some domain-specific knowledge. But then as you scale up, your domain-specific knowledge becomes part of the tribal knowledge of the company, and a lot of those convert into business automation and SOPs and all that. At that point, it is all about capability to scale the business. And that's where really the leadership, the ability to build a team, make money, make more money, that comes in. And I think that's where your real strengths came into play. And like you said, when you acquired this business, may not be this big, but now you put in a lot of effort to grow it. So can you quantify how much have you grown since, any kind of ballpark, so we can celebrate it?
It's been quite a good ride, and it's been a lot of inorganic growth. So a lot of the sort of plug and play and buy and build type things. You're right about there being a sort of fresh outlook when you come outside of the industry, but there's also a lot of balls you drop and a lot of things that you miss when you come from outside the industry. But I'm proud that even as a retailer, we have really focused on being a service business instead of a product business. And I think that sort of takes the inherent sort of contrast in retailing out of the picture because you're serving folks. You're not focused on, okay, we've got to just drain as much money out of the customer as we can for products they don't need. Not that everybody does that, but that is pretty typical in retail. We think, okay, how can we help the customer as much as possible and really provide as much foot wellness retail experience through the custom orthotics and the footwear, even all the way down to putting people in the right socks. It's something that helps people and improves their lives, and we feel really good about what we do on a day-to-day basis. So being able to come in to what is a brick and mortar type retail franchise, and sort of refocus the culture on service and start praising those situations where there is a lot of service. We're really proud of where we've taken it.
Yeah, this is awesome. In fact, I can totally relate it with a lot of other conversations I have had with retailers where they're talking about customer experience. So, and when customer comes in your store, how would you differentiate? It's only ways like how you treat them, how you help them in shopping. So I think in your case, your product is a little more technical, so they need help. These people in the store are actually engaged with the customer and help them in buying experience, and that makes it a memorable experience. And there's something how you treat them, how you help them buy, actually is a good reason why they want to come back, right?
Yeah, and it's also how you think about science and technology and how you use it at the store level. So there's plenty of science and there's plenty of technology that more or less helps you manipulate the customer, right? Okay, we're going to take all this data and we're going to know the questions to ask. We're going to walk them through a sort of robotic sales process, and then we know, based on the science, that this gets us to a yes on the sale, and we can bump up that average order volume and all that. We think of technology and how efficient it is in helping the customer. Quite honestly, the customer, we brought in digital scanning, laser scanning from a European company that ties into CAD/CAM, that ties into 3D printed custom orthotics, which is a great experience for the customer because it's cool tech. But at the end of the day, what it does is help people stay on their feet and get their body aligned and get healthy. And you think about that person who says, well, I just went to the doctor and I'm out of shape and I'm diabetic or I'm pre-diabetic and I don't know what to do next, but I think I'm going to start walking. Well, that person could put on the wrong pair of shoes, have a very flimsy sort of support base, get out there quite a bit overweight, start walking, and in a couple of days say, my joints are killing me, my back's killing me, my feet are killing me. I don't know what to do. I don't have any way to recover from this. Now I'm going back to watch TV. Or they go to the doctor and the doctor says, hey, you need to get on your feet. You need to start walking. And then they start at a Foot Solutions and say, hey, what do I need to be wearing while I'm doing this? What kind of support do I need? Can I get the right alignment? Can I get the right shoes for my body type, for my activity level? And we say, yeah, here. So we're going to take care of you. And that same person goes on the same journey. But after day 2, they're starting to feel great. Muscles are sore a little bit, but their joints are feeling good and their feet are feeling good. And that person, that foundational health carries them through their whole journey to getting back to health. And, the reason we're able to do that is because we're focused on the customer. Like it's customer-centric, your whole podcast, customer-centric. We're focused on helping people. And, you can go on our website, you can go on our franchising page. It's a very small link because we don't really advertise franchising that much, but you can watch franchisees talk about why they got into Foot Solutions franchising and why they stayed. It's not always the easiest journey. It's not as plug and play as people would like it to be because you've got to learn a lot about biomechanics. You've got to learn a lot about feet. And you've got to learn retail if you don't already know it, and inventory management and that sort of thing. So we're not selling cookies to folks. And so even though it's a harder ramp, a longer ramp and a harder ramp franchisees really love it because at the end of the day, they feel like, man, I helped that person. I helped that person get back on their feet and stay healthy. So it's a real rewarding franchise.
Yeah, this is great. Actually, I like that part that, with the customers, once they experience the product, they really see difference quality in their quality of life. They can now, go work with, do exactly what their doctor is advising. They can now get on their feet and experience the life, and that's how they can see the improvement in their quality of life. That exactly is the experience they want, and that makes them come back, but also tell their friends, right? That, hey, I got this and it's working out. So maybe that's how you get a lot of people come back to your stores, because they are word of mouth publicity. So that's great. And in fact, that probably is also a good motivation for franchising. The people who want to have you get your franchises, that, hey, this product is sticky. Once one customer buys it, they will come back, but not only they will come back, they'll bring their friends, their, people they know. So I think that's where it is. How do you actually, franchises approach you? Like, what kind of equations, or like why they get interested? Is it mostly because they personally experienced it and then they like it and that's why they see the potential? Or is it like how is that going on?
We have a lot of investors who've approached us on multi-unit franchising, which we've done several deals so far and starting to open in those stores. This year, we'll open several stores actually that are investor funded. The sort of mom and pop model, those are folks who went in typically and experienced it and said, oh, this is something I could use in my town. People could use in my town. And inevitably, when they start talking to their friends and saying, I want to do a foot wellness retail store where I can help people feel good and get them out of foot pain and get them aligned and that sort of thing, their friends will say, oh, I've got this thing going on with my, everybody knows somebody, or they've got some problem with their feet, especially their feet. So it's a lot of word of mouth. We don't do any advertising on the franchising side. We do have a couple of brokers who will bring us folks occasionally, pre-vetted and very serious investors typically. But franchisees who approach us directly can do so through the website.
Awesome, and this is great. I'm excited about it because I see the value here, that not only you increase the quality of life for the people, help them improve their quality of life, but also you are creating job opportunities, helping them even, open a business unit and start making more money if they're already, or if not, then they start making money, and also create employment for others. So that's a bigger problem right now we have in society, is how to create more employment. So it's kind of like there's a lot of indirect impacts which directly help society in general. So I'm really happy to see all this, know about all this thing about your business. This is great.
Well, it's a new category too. Yeah, I mean it's quote unquote new. It's been around for now 24 years. There are other companies that do foot wellness at a retail level, but none like ours. I can say it's a very unique model, and it's a different category. So doing things like this and getting the brand out is important to us. Just telling people who we are is important, because once people know who we are, once they visit, like you said, they come back. I wouldn't say the product is very sticky, although it is. We do have good product. The service is very sticky. Like what you're getting at a Foot Solutions is the caring expertise, and that's very sticky anywhere.
Yeah, in fact, these days we've seen this conversation and people saying that your product is combination of your physical product, what you are delivering, plus the service on top of it. So it's together is the product and not just the physical thing. So I think in that sense, it makes total sense where put together, it becomes a long-term relationship with the customer. And it also building a community around it, actually.
Yeah, the product development, the product selection, the curating, the healthy footwear, all those are just tools that we give the expert in the store to serve the customer.
Awesome. Cool. Well, then the other topic that really I wanted to touch with you is that you already have a really a good high tech or really modern technology in place because your product is so scientific and it's so modern. On top of it, like we see that these days, in general, retailing is evolving. Definitely much different than what it used to be like 20, 25 years ago. These days, people start learning about product online, generally on their phone or on computer, mostly on their phone. So there's a lot of that technology involved, means customer, before they come to your store, they already kind of like get educated about the product. Also, a lot of times before they go to the store, they want to know if the product is available. Maybe in your case, they want to make an appointment or something like that. So what is your experience on how customer engagement happens and the technology at that level where you connect with the customer and, keeping them, helping them through the buying cycle and after sales process? So tell us about what's your experience and if there are any plans on it.
Yeah, well, we sort of started with deciding what we wanted to be, or defining who we are, I should say. And part of that caring expert service is the service element means that we need to educate the customer and empower the customer. And those are part of our brand values, as a matter of fact. So if you go on the website, you may treat it like a WebMD, especially if you don't live near a Foot Solutions. You can still go on there, look at the different pathologies that we try to help, and click on those. And there are videos about what the pathology is. Why do I have bunions? Why do I have plantar fasciitis? Why do I have a heel spur? You can learn that on there. And then, we have videos about what they are, and then we have videos about how they can be alleviated. And so quite frequently, we have a lot of customers who visit that don't have Foot Solutions nearby, but they still go online and they learn quite a bit about it. Custom orthotics is not something you really can do online. It's a very personalized service. There are people who are trying to do it online. I think that's it's just not prudent. You can't. You've got to have a chance to interview the customer. You got to have a chance to watch them walk, watch them move, talk to them about their lifestyle. You can't really build a custom orthotic online, so we don't try to do that. But we do sell some close to medical grade insoles for folks that can't get online, and we describe to folks, or can't get into a store. We describe to them, what this helps with, and it's a good option. It's not the best option, but we do sell those. And we sell a lot of good footwear, brands that you would recognize, but also brands like some Thin Comfort or Atrix, and folks who build really nice footbeds in their shoes and have really nice structure. Accelero is another good brand that people don't necessarily know about, but is good, healthy footwear. And we sell that online too. So the technology plays a big part in the store. Online educational materials plays a big part into educating the customer. Tells them we know who we are and we know what we're talking about.
Yeah, so this is great. In fact, I totally get it that the product is such that it's like, because you need service, you need some expert to help you in the buying process. So getting that education online is important. So before I walk into the store, I know enough, prepared myself. So when I go in the store, I can work with the expert to make that buying decision and go buy the stuff. And like you said, not necessarily everyone is living near the store. So probably they are just learning about it and figuring out what best they can do with whatever is available around them. And which is great, because at the end of the day, people knowing about your brand, learning about it as your brand content is helping them, their quality of life is improving, and which builds relationships. So at some point in time, they will drive down to the store that is like a little bit further, and or maybe you open a store near their place, and then they'll be excited and go back.
Yeah, that's the idea. We have several new stores open. In fact, 3 will be opening, new ones in May. We've had a few stores already open this year, new ones. We're growing pretty rapidly in terms of footprint.
Yeah, and this is important. So actually, building brand is not easy, and what you're doing is actually a long-term strategy. Is like, keep building brand and then follow up with these stores and retailing business on it. So this is really good, actually. I like it. So well, I think I have really good information, and I'm really happy that I had all this conversation. One of those important ones that I want to take it towards the conclusion is that a lot of folks, I'm sure there are a lot of folks out there who want to see themselves transition from one career path to the other, which is like in your case, it's like, mergers and acquisitions and all that investment, playing with money, that was one, and the retailing and leading that whole retail experience. And which is like, in your case, it's pretty technical product, very experience service focused. So those are like very big, at least for me or for a lot of other people, this is like a big transition. So tell us about like, how people who haven't been in retail, when they go from one kind of a, career, their expertise into something else, not exactly in retail, but something else. What goes on in your mind, and how you go for that transition? Do you have like figured out some advice or a framework or something that we could be using?
Yeah, well, I guess the first thing I'd say is if you are letting, there's a difference between letting fear advise your steps or letting reason and thought advise your steps. So there's a difference, but it's important to know that, hey, I'm not going to jump into something without considering the risk, right? You have to know what the risks are, and you have to think through them, and you have to know that you can alleviate them. You have to know that, okay, worst case scenario, you can sort of downside risk test any sort of investment or any sort of career move you're going to make. Generally speaking, I've always decided, hey, I want to do something that I can learn from, not necessarily that I already understand. But I want to have a broad knowledge. That's just how I've decided to do it. It's not necessarily for everybody, but I've always wanted to focus more on learning than, even career moves that improved my income. I didn't necessarily care about that as much as career moves that would teach me something. So I would especially advise young folks who are getting involved in the workforce, don't limit yourself. Don't sell yourself short. Tell yourself, look, I'm going to start my career. I'm going to be willing to move. I'm going to try different cultures. Living overseas and working overseas is, I think, very important, especially these days, to understand different cultures, different ways of doing things. But accept jobs. You might get you might come out of school as an engineer, for instance, and you might get offered a job making $90,000, and it's more money than you've ever seen. But it's doing something that you're super comfortable doing, and you know exactly what you're doing. And you're going to do that for the next 40 years, and then you're going to retire and die. There's another way to look at it. There's another way to look at it. Maybe there's something that involves engineering, but there's a lot of upward mobility available to you. And you've got an opportunity to learn something new that you're not quite comfortable doing, but you can do it. Well, that don't let fear keep you from that kind of career path, because that career path is going to be more rewarding, I would say. So I think I'm rambling at this point, but that's always the way I've thought about it.
This is great. In fact, I like it, and my thought process aligns with it. So I'm really, I totally understand and totally agree that, especially like, you said, when you're getting into this workforce, just got out of college, and you could potentially you could go keep doing the same thing for your rest of the life and retire and die. Who knows? Everybody's going to die someday. So I like you, right? What you said, do what will challenge, push yourself, learn, because that's what will add that excitement to the life. And definitely as we learn, if we are learning, I'm sure there's a lot of growth associated with that. And so, yeah, I agree with you. And this is great advice. I'm sure people are going to love it. Thank you very much for that. Cool. So, John, thank you very much for your time today. I'm really happy I had this opportunity to have you as a guest on this podcast. It was really good conversation, and I'm sure our folks are going to love it. Thank you.
Well, I really enjoyed it. Anybody who wants to learn more about us, it's just footsolutions.com.
That's it for this episode of the Customer-Centric Retailing Podcast. If you like what you heard, you can subscribe on Apple Podcast, Spotify, and Google Podcast. Please rate and review and recommend to a friend or a fellow retail fanatic. This podcast is presented by Orthotics Commerce.